says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential Southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Buggs Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hello and welcome to week 8 of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach. It's, you talk about time going by. Week 8 already of the college football season, Coach.
I'm telling you, it's amazing how time just keeps flying away.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk about the old life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
That's a pretty good story, but it's true.
Yeah. LSU dropping a 31-17 loss to the Ole Miss Rebels. A little bit of a Florida hangover, a better Ole Miss team, a combination of all the above.
I don't think it was a Florida hangover because I thought LSU started out pretty darn good. From the offensive standpoint,
right.
They did it on the defensive side of the ball, and they were really clicking on all cylinders until you didn't take the points.
Yep.
You see, go up 10-0,
right,
and take the points. That's a philosophy. On the road, take points.
Now, I would agree probably 99.9% of the time. But as I watched that unfold, I had to entertain the thought, this is the air raid defense you're talking about. 3 points is probably not going to make that big a difference. But to your point, psychologically, when you get down there, take the points. And you, if nothing else, you instill that confidence in your team that we can score against these guys. I mean, on any given day, that 3 points against this high-powered offense for Ole Miss, not going to make that big a difference. But psychologically, just to get the points gives you some benefits.
Well, that means they got to score 2 touchdowns to beat you, or a touchdown and 2 field goals to beat you.
Right.
I mean, that's how you start thinking about certain things, because it is what it is. I wouldn't have, well, on the road, I mean, there are some things that coaches talk about you want to do when you're on the road.
Right.
And points are one of the things that you want to talk about. Score them whenever you can.
Yeah.
Now, the way that offensive line have been playing, and the way they were doing prior to them getting down there,
right?
You would, Coach O probably say, we won't be able to stick this one in.
Right.
Well,
right.
they weren't able to stick it in there.
But once again, and I don't know if you've noticed or how many others have noticed, but it seems to be a bit of a pattern. Meaning, first offensive series, they look like the LSU we expect and we want to see. But after that first offensive series, things kind of tend to trail off after that.
Well, there seems to be a pattern there, and it's probably got something to do with the play calling, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
And, you got to stay short and crossing patterns with Johnson. I think if you do that, he's going to be most effective, especially now that he doesn't have his big down the field, Boutte and them guys.
Right.
I think you need to just dig good enough with the short patterns, crossing patterns, throw, and the way they've been running it to run the ball pretty good. Price is looking really good.
Now, on that note, and that's a perfect segue here, Ole Miss coming into this game was ranked 109th against the rush. And they held us to 77 yards on the ground. You're coming off an historic rushing performance. You're going against a team that's ranked 109th against the rush. You would think conventional wisdom would say you can run against these guys. They're ranked 109th, but they held us to 77 yards rushing. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Would you try to swallow it?
Not in the SEC. That pill to choke a horse in the SEC, Coach.
Well, let me just say this. They may have – it tells me one or two things about LSU offensive line or that team is that they're not consistent.
Nope.
They did it against Florida, but couldn't do it against the lesser opponent on paper. On paper.
Right.
They couldn't do it. And there's something to be said about consistency.
Oh, yeah.
If you are what you say you are, or who we say you are, you should be able to put at least a couple of games together where you could really run the ball.
Yeah.
And when you said that's how bad on paper Ole Miss was,
yep.
But you know what? I think Ole Miss spent a lot of time in practice stopping the run.
Oh, of course
preparing
they did.
to stop the run.
Yeah.
Because they knew they couldn't beat them deep.
Right. You look at game film, looking at the way they ran the ball against Florida, well, any self-respecting defensive coordinator, first thing on his mind is we got to stop the run.
Yes.
And once you do that, you become one-dimensional, and it's all downhill after that. We have highlights or lowlights, depending on
it's highlight.
what side of the fence you reside on. So we'll roll those highlights as we continue our conversation. Max Johnson harassed all game long. 2 fumbles and an interception. He never looked comfortable other than, I think this is the opening drive.
Yeah, the first 2 play drive.
Speaking of harassment.
This was a wonderful catch here. Ole Miss had a lot they're playing for. Eli Manning had jersey retired.
Yeah.
It was a big day. It was beautiful in Oxford, Mississippi. I had a little something on the line also here at Clarence. I've got a nephew, 24, on all defense playing for Ole Miss.
Oh, really?
Yes, Dean Leonard, and he played a pretty good game. I was telling his grandmother, which is my sister, how wonderful he did in the game. And I tell you, it's really, what's so funny is that his mother came down from Canada to watch the game.
Right.
So they were and his younger brother was in the stand. So he had some people there watching the game.
Right.
But look at LSU they're just trying to play quick ball here. And, as long as Johnson was quick passing, he was okay. Oh, this the new quarterback? No, another guy.
1 to 2 to 3 extra yards after the
Yeah,
catch.
Nussmeier did
Yeah,
get
Nussmeier, yeah.
did get some snaps.
Look at that. That's a great
The
pass.
40-yard line of the Rebels.
The
Third down and
score
5 at the
was 31-17 the final, but
Tigers freshman
you got to
quarterback
wonder
Nussmeier
if
trying to lead
Matt
the charge.
Corral
Handoff Corey Kiner,
was
another
not so
freshman out of
banged up
Cincinnati
for
on the
Ole Miss.
run.
It could have been a heck of a lot worse than
Tigers
that
are going to decide after the
31-17.
timeout to bring
It
KJ
probably
out.
could have, you know. I try not to worry too much about coulda, woulda, hadda,
Shoulda.
shoulda, other than what it was.
Right.
Because, you know, that's really what we want to go on. We don't want, I find out we don't want to make LSU is suffering enough. And they're suffering enough. So we don't want to make them feel any worse than they are.
Pick up 11 yards.
Well, unfortunately,
Unloads down the far
There's
side.
Dean right there.
oh, that's 24. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 24.
A caught
No,
by
no.
Bryce Thomas Jr. Second
There's no
down
way to
for the
sugarcoat it.
Nussmeier again. Has
Once again, LSU
back of the end
was
zone.
manhandled
Touchdown,
up
Tigers,
front
Malik Neighbors.
on both sides of the ball.
Fresh
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. If you want to win, you got to have those big, nice, beautiful people on the offense and
The
defense.
big uglies.
Yeah, you want
gotta have the big uglies.
You want to say it. I was that big, beautiful, nice and beautiful. I knew you would say that.
Yeah, and I mean that in the most affectionate
I
way
know.
possible. You jump out, score first, and then give up 31 unanswered. That's a tough pill for LSU fans to swallow, Coach.
It is tough to swallow because you're 2 years removed from winning a national championship.
Arguably the greatest season in the history of college football.
But the fans are never going to be satisfied.
Well, true.
Once you give them that filet mignon,
Smoked sausage just don't cut it.
it's all over. They
Yeah.
don't want to go back.
Yeah. Speaking of the fan base and what they've witnessed, was it realistic to expect LSU to have a much better performance than they did against Ole Miss?
Yeah, it was realistic to expect that. I mean, everybody in their right mind would realistically
Yeah.
expect a much better game than that.
Yeah.
I mean, not the caliber program it is,
Yeah.
you know? And let's face it, it ain't about money here. Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Vandy and Kentucky are at the bottom in the league when it comes to the financial support for football.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Ole Miss maybe 50,000, maybe 60 if they were able to put. That's what they're going to see.
Right.
LSU is 100-some thousand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Alabama, Auburn,
Georgia,
Tennessee, Georgia,
Texas A&M.
Arkansas, Texas A&M,
Florida.
They on and
Yeah.
on and on.
Yeah.
You know, they can put those huge amount of people in the stand. So Ole Miss shouldn't be able to do what they did against that program.
Yeah.
And that's the way the fans are thinking.
Now, speaking of that, what Ole Miss was able to do, how much, if any, did Lane Kiffin's stock go up in the eyes of the LSU administration as potentially the next head coach?
I really don't know. You know, it only means something if it went up in the AD's eye. I mean, that's the
Right.
person who's going to make the hire.
Right.
I know they're talking about the president. The president is not going to make the hire.
Nah.
It's going to be the AD.
He shouldn't. If,
Yeah, well,
if the
it's
president makes the hire, why do you have an AD?
Yeah, no. Well, Scott Woodward is going to make that hire.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing is, I think the name Kiffin comes up, but he's not the guy.
Right.
He's not the guy. And I'm just, they're throwing names in there, which is good.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But it ain't that, he ain't that guy.
No, I just don't know, with looking at the current crop of names mentioned and what their financial obligations are, I just don't know if that guy is out there and available for us right now. I just don't know.
It's going. One of the reasons they move so quickly is to give him so he could have the time.
Yeah.
He's got to work people.
Well, of course.
The one guy he wants, he's got to convince him.
Yeah.
You got to come. You got me? So he needs the time.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's a honeymoon. He's got to take him out and he's got to serenade him. Give him that good, you know.
Bring him cupcakes with roses on it.
Yeah. And send a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Of course, now the problem with that is any coach worth anything, their team is probably going to be in a bowl game, if not the college football playoffs. So it's going to be a while before you can do certain things with that coach anyway, as far as pursuing that coach. So it's going to be interesting to watch this play out. If there's any silver lining to all of this, is that Scott Woodward has a track record of making good hires in situations. So I am definitely one that is certainly leaning in the direction of trusting his judgment, because he hasn't. You know, you look at the recent hires of Kim Mulkey and Jay Johnson. The
hire that could be a really dark horse that people probably ain't paying the most attention. Swaney, the coach from Clemson. That could be a dark horse. Why could he be a dog horse? He's getting his head beat in at Clemson. And they may want him out. Yeah. Unrealistic fans. He hadn't won the championship in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
This may be the guy. He may be the guy because it brings him to the SEC where he probably want to be.
Right. Great recruiting base.
This could be the guy. He's got a history.
Yeah.
He's got the pedigree. You know, pedigree. He's the guy. I'm telling you. He could be the dog horse.
Interesting.
Remember, guys who are winning, he ain't going to no big bowl. He's already lost 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the easiest one to pray away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got me?
Interesting. Remember who told you first?
You.
First break of today's show. When we come back, we shift gears from purple and gold to blue and gold as we continue the Roger Cador Show only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe & Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back for today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, we'll move from one side of town to the other, from purple and gold to blue and gold, and talk about our Jaguars. Prairie View, in no uncertain terms. Yeah, it was Southern's homecoming, but Prairie View came to play on both sides of the ball, pure and simple.
They all come to play. It's just some of them don't execute.
Well, yeah, all right, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
They came to play and executed well
Yes.
on both sides of the ball.
Ah, that's better. They really and scored a bunch of points. Southern have struggled this year defensively.
Yeah.
And they've done a decent job from the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
But you can't give up that many points and expect to win.
In this particular instance, Prairie View amassed 506 yards.
Wow.
Total offense. Southern amassed 250 yards. That's less than half of the other of your opponent's total offense. That spells defeat any way you look at it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to. I mean, you give a team 500-some yards and you only have 250. I mean, you can't win unless you have turnover with a short field.
Right.
That would be the only way you
That's
could.
the only way.
Only way, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. And on top of that, Prairie View never once was behind in the whole game. They not only did they never trail in the game, but consistently they kept pressure on Southern all game long, whether it's offense or defense. That's the formula for winning any way you look at it.
I'll agree. I would agree, Clarence. The other thing is, Clarence, is that Coach Dooley used to be an assistant coach at Southern.
That's right.
And you can imagine he had to come and make a statement.
Oh, of course.
Probably say, y'all didn't consider to hire me? This is what I want to give to you.
This is what you
I
get.
want to give you a gift on homecoming.
Yeah. And
whether you want it or not, you're going to take it.
And you know, he also, a good coach would say, would use that all week long with his team. Now, y'all know we're going back to where I came from. And you know, they didn't give me the honor.
No, I don't think he would say that. That's probably not good to say.
But he would say, we're going back to my old stomping grounds. Let's go in and make a statement.
Yeah, or they're going to Southern, you know how they are. They are very difficult to play. You're going to have to execute. You're going to have to keep your mistakes to a minimum and stay under composure. I think those are the words he probably would say, because if you make it about yourself, that's a selfish way to coach.
And it opens the door for other distractions.
Distraction,
for the team.
Yeah, any coach who does that, usually they have problems. But I know Coach Dooley, and I don't think he said about him. I mean, in his heart, he probably prepared them to do something based upon, y'all didn't give it to me, take this.
Now, you mentioned they wanted to, quote, make a statement. I think the statement's already been made. If memory serves correct, this is 5 years in a row. Prairie View has taken the measure of Southern. If that doesn't make a statement, I don't know what else you could do.
Only you could go find those kind of records.
Well,
so you're big on finding that kind of stuff.
It is what it is.
I agree with you. 5 times, and you remember Prairie View used to be, they went like 100-some games without having a win.
Yep.
And finally they got a president in who put scholarships back into athletics, and they've constantly built themselves up.
Yep.
And it's a wonderful school academically. Got great facility. It's just a beautiful situation. Prairie View is really a good story for anybody.
Yeah.
If they want to see how you do it, you do it right.
The right way.
The right way.
Yeah.
And it start with foundation with your academics.
Well, we have highlights from this homecoming encounter up on the bluff, so we will ask the gentleman in the truck if they will be so kind to roll those highlights as we continue our conversation. You talk about a wonderful story, how this resurgence in Prairie View's program has occurred. For people our age or anywhere near our age, another story that I don't think many current Jaguar fans have an appreciation for is how heated and how deep this rivalry actually was at one time in the SWAC between Southern and Prairie View.
It was between Southern and everybody in the SWAC, but
Yeah.
Prairie View, and it was really one because if you go back to the 50s, 60s, and probably early 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was huge.
Huge. And, you know, you had great players like Otis Taylor, Hall of Famers, Jim Kearney, Emmett Thomas, and on and on and on.
We don't have enough time to list all the people that played during that time that were just amazing athletes. But who knows? Maybe this run by Prairie View and the fact that, you know, there's really no other way to say it. They've owned us here recently. Maybe that will serve to regenerate some of the intensity in that rivalry. Because as you well know, you can never have too many big rivalries in college athletics, particularly within your conference. That sells tickets, that puts butts in seats, that sells concessions, that sells parking, and that's a win-win all the way across the board.
Well, let's say they also, Clarence, they've got a beautiful football stadium.
Oh, yeah.
That they built.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, a $60 million place. So, you know, they've got it. They've got what you're looking for.
Yep.
They, you know, so I would say to Coach Dooley, don't leave, stay there.
Looking at the stat line for this game, Prairie View converted 62% of their third down conversion opportunities. Again, recipe to win.
Yeah. And throwing the ball high over the middle for interception. You miss a receiver over the middle high. Normally the safeties are going to take it.
Yep.
I'm looking at the linemen's blocking, you know, and, you know, it's just good fundamental football.
Yep. And the fundamentals will bear out every single time. You mentioned, go ahead.
And I'm thinking this really sets up Prairie View next game versus Alcorn.
Alcorn.
After Southern plays them this week,
Right.
maybe Southern will beat them down, so when Prairie View go to Lowman the following week, they'll be easy picking. Maybe.
Maybe. You mentioned moments ago as we watched that interception that sailed high and deep, the difference between these two teams, both of the quarterbacks, Southern's and Prairie View's, threw 2 interceptions. Southern got 0 points
On their interception.
on their end. Prairie View got a touchdown both times.
Yes.
That'll kill you every time.
14 points. So if we take 14 points from the 50-some points,
Uh-huh.
what we put ourselves?
You're talking 47 to 35 at that point.
If you take 14 from...
Well, no, if you take 14 away from, then you're talking 33 to 21. They still win, but you're in a much closer game.
Closer game, yeah. I'm just trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's interesting. You're right. When you can score from the defensive side of the ball, it makes your offense much more potent, and you don't have to worry about having to do something.
Yep.
I'm watching, boy. This is really something. You know, Southern has just got to do a better job defensively, and because their offense is pretty good. I mean, your offense, you know. There, another interception here. Kid didn't, you know. It's just tough right now on the Bluff. But you know what? You got a new coach. It takes time.
Yeah.
He's got to get his staff right, and the fans are in the stands tonight. You know, and you know, he gets his staff the way he wants it, and then we can start judging
Right.
and get some of his own players. You know.
Now, one of the things that's concerning to me, and it mirrors exactly what we saw with LSU and Ole Miss. In Southern's instance, the score was 13-6 at the half. Final score 47-21, which says to me that Prairie View at the half made a whole lot better adjustments than we did at the half.
Yeah, the adjustment was good. They came out and played good. I'm sure Southern made adjustment. It just didn't execute it.
Well, yeah.
You know, and that's
Yeah.
what all is about, execution.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they say, hey, we need to do this and do this. And they just didn't execute it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, adjustments without execution ain't worth a hill of beans.
Well,
You can make all the adjustments in the world. It's like the old saying, practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Practicing perfectly makes perfect. You can practice all day long, but if you're practicing it wrong, all you're going to do is get real good at doing it wrong.
and if you practice perfectly, you're never going to be perfect, but you'll do things really good.
You do things really good.
And we wanted to make sure people understand, because there ain't no perfect. We hear a perfect game plan. It just went well.
Right.
But
they had to execute.
Nick Saban, nothing is perfect with Nick. He's always trying to get his players to play better.
Yeah.
You got me, because he sees something that no one else sees,
Right.
that they could do better.
Which is why you very seldom see them take a big dip in performance.
There you go.
Because you set the bar
They're
here,
high, yeah.
and even when they reach it, when they get this close, then you, sorry, Nikki, you kind of edge it up a little bit more and keep it up and up and up. And as a result, every time there's a conversation for who's the best, guess who's somewhere in the conversation?
Alabama and Nick Saban. And that's what I love about him, because I know what he's doing. People say, oh, he's never satisfied. Well, you can't be satisfied. Because he knows. So around that bend, there's a team that will play their very best against him.
Yep.
They could knock him off.
Yep. As a matter of fact, anytime you put on certain uniforms, you are guaranteed to get the opponent's best shot just because you have that uniform on. I mean, you know full well, with the history and the legacy that you established at Southern, playoffs, conference championships, members of the all-star team, the all-conference team, the whole nine. When folks came to the Bluff and took to that field, the Lee Hines field, you were going to get their best shot just because they're playing you.
We had that happen quite often.
Yeah. And the only way you were able to maintain that status is that you got to constantly, always strive to get better.
Get better. There you go.
When we come back, we will shift gears once again. Already covered purple and gold and blue and gold. Up next, black and gold. Well, as we continue today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient. They're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential Southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets, BRAC, we are more than a playground.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, we shift gears now from college football to professional football, and of course, talking about our very own New Orleans Saints. Taking on Seattle on the road in one of the toughest places to play. The Saints looked like a team coming off a bye. They looked like a team that hadn't played in a while.
Well, the rain didn't help either.
Well, true.
Ooh,
but Seattle had to play in the same rain.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why they played the way they played too.
Yeah.
And with a new quarterback, Smith. I mean, this was not a picture-perfect game, but it is what it is. The Saints did the one thing that they had going for them on the offensive side was Kamara,
right?
And they used them and out of the backfield with passes. And when they needed that big third down run late in the game, he was able to deliver.
That is the sign of good coaching.
Yeah.
You understand the horse that he is. You understand how the defense is going to shut him down, and particularly if he gets the ball in the backfield. So what do? You get him out in space.
Right.
And put the ball in his hands. Get your playmakers in space, get the ball in their hands, and the rest will normally take care of itself.
Normally would, and last night it happened. The Saints won. They needed to win. Buy time. They needed to buy time, get more people who are out healthy.
Right.
And so they could be a full team again.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have highlights from that encounter off on the West Coast. So, guys, in the truck, if you will, as we continue our conversation, you can roll the highlights.
Is that grass or turf they play on?
I want to say turf.
It looks like turf.
And it will be down at the 1 yard line.
It's an open.
Seems like 14
dome.
is winning the emotional
the amount of
battle.
rain that they had, if it is natural grass, you'll know by the end of the game. You can just look at the Saints jerseys, and that white and brown will be mostly brown and a little bit white if it is natural grass. Self-inflicted wounds ended up, as is usually the case, dooming the Seahawks. You can't shoot yourself in the foot at any level, but especially at this level.
Oh, no, they make you pay for it. The other thing is that,
Listen, I don't want to say that Saints drive was really long, but the last time Seattle...
Ooh, what a good tackle here.
Nice hit.
And now it's dark.
You were going to say another thing is that the Saints tackling.
No, there wasn't a tackling. I just think that from the offensive standpoint, they're showing me inconsistency where you have to go to another member of the wide receiving corps.
Right.
We can't complete the passes. You
Right.
got me?
Like
And we got to find a way to depend on it. And that's somebody in the stands, Flair. Got their black and gold on, and they're probably singing to you.
Oh, they're singing. But
Come and join us in Seattle, the beautiful Pacific Northwest.
Speaking of Seattle, obviously, and you could make the case for maybe any team in the NFL, or even college for that matter. Seattle is not Seattle without Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what happened when you depend so much on one player.
Yeah.
If he goes out,
Yep.
your team suffers.
Yep. Well,
but in the NFL, your quarterback is who he is.
Well, yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah. So it makes it even that much more impressive, does it not, that when Drew Brees went down, Sean Payton was able to use the cogs in the wheel and still come out with the winning record. It makes it now even more impressive looking at how other teams struggle when their starting superstar quarterback goes down.
Well, that tells me the coaching staff realized that they had to do some things differently to try and keep the winning wave going until they got Drew Brees back.
Dome Patrol looked like the Saints defense of old. I mean, 5 sacks registered total for the game and pressure all night long. It's tough to find a rhythm offensively when the defense just is relentless with its pressure.
I agree with you.
Field goal unit off, the offense on.
And, of course, we saw a situation similar to Southern and Prairie View where the Saints forced, some of them unforced, penalties at the most inopportune time.
Yeah.
And the Saints, like good teams will do, made you pay for those mistakes.
And you should. You should. So
if you thought this was a
must-win for Seattle, they were able to hold Seattle, keep them deep in their territory where they weren't able to score.
Knocked away.
And there's the knocking that ball down.
And he knew he was already counting that 6 points.
Yeah.
That's why you don't count the chickens before they hatch. But different show for a different day. Speaking of inconsistent, he's shown flashes of brilliance. He has shown, maybe more than anything, inconsistency. Jameis Winston, 19 of 35, 222 yards, but 43 yards in rushing. Did just enough to win.
That's all it takes. Do just enough to win, baby. And he did that. But again, he's buying time. So as you go down the road and get everybody
hopefully get healthy. Yeah.
And then you could be a little more efficient on the offensive side.
Rookie kicker Brian Thompson made the most of his 2 opportunities in knocking down field goals. Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit there was a little consternation when we let the other kicker go. What's this new guy going to do? And he ends up getting hurt early on. But when it mattered most, he responded.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yep. Unfortunately, though, as is the case with any franchise in the NFL, you don't have much time to celebrate this one because come Sunday, you're going to be facing a bad man.
Ooh, that sounds like Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Dude.
That's a bad man. And listen, y'all, I am in no way, shape, or form a Tom Brady fan. Never have been, never will be. But I believe in giving credit where credit is due. That's a bad man, Coach.
Okay, he's bad, Clarence. He's a bad dude.
That's a bad man.
Come on, we ready for him.
Yeah, you sound pretty confident. You sound pretty confident. All right, you hear that sound? That's that bus they warming up. Don't let it run over you. Don't let it run over you. Just saying.
Hey, this is the NFL. Anything can happen on a given Sunday.
Yeah, on any given Sunday. You know, any team can beat any other if you don't bring your A game.
That's right.
Seattle is one of those places where teams know when they go in, it's going to be raucous, it's going to be loud, it's going to be crazy. In your coaching career, can you think of any place that automatically came to your mind when you knew we're going to play such and such? Man, this crowd's going to be crazy.
Well, you know, when we had really good team going into LSU, I mean, that was one of those things.
What about Alcorn when you matched up against Rat in the heyday? Wasn't that bad?
No, Grambling probably would be the one place in the SWAC. But other than that, it was just, you know, we were able to handle.
Okay. Well, if you are looking for something you can, quote, handle, as the coach just said, whether it is a new or used motorcycle, an ATV, a side-by-side, you need to go see our friends at Powerhouse Outdoors, formerly Calme's Motorsports. We're talking Kawasaki, Suzuki, Sea-Doo, Can-Am, Polaris. You want it, they've got it. And by the way, in this age of big box stores and retailers, we all tend to think bigger is better. So they got you covered in that regard, if that's the way you think. 25,000 square foot facility. But they understand we're Louisiana folk. So yeah, we like a big selection. Yeah, we like a big venue. But at the end of the day, what we really like is a great price, friendly service, and service after the sale. If any of this appeals to you, you need to get yourself down to 2323 Florida Boulevard in Denham. Go see the good folks there. They would love to see you. They'd love to show you around, and they'd love to make you smile like you haven't smiled in a long time when you think about the deal that you've gotten, the quality that you now possess, and the service when you need it after the sale. Do us a huge favor, if you would. When you go see the folks at Powerhouse Outdoors, let them know you heard about them right here on the Clarence Buggs Show, along with the Roger Cador Show. I talk about them on my show too. Just good people. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back and talk who's going to be the next world champion in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that and more when we continue Week 8 of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock, conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946. Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the final segment of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. It is that time of year again, and maybe you can help me out. We always hear the moniker, the boys of summer. But unless you live in a city with a major league franchise, most of us, we don't really start paying attention until the fall.
Yeah.
When the World Series and the playoffs come around. Shouldn't it be the boys of fall? But I guess they play more games in the summer when you're trying to decide who's going to be there. So let's talk about that. You got a favorite on who's going to win it all?
Well, I would like to see Dusty win it.
Would be nice.
Both of us played with the Braves. We both have ties there.
Uh-huh.
But because of our 50-plus year relationship,
right,
and he's been so close on a couple of occasions,
right,
I'm hoping this is the year that it is his turn to wear that crown. So, he and I talked last week, and, he was in really good mood. So we're just hopeful that this is it.
Now, let's take the sentimentality out of the picture for just a moment. Looking at the mechanics, the moving parts that make up each organization, what does each team have to do to come away world champion?
Well, Houston had got to find a way to get starting pitchers. Remember, they're down in starting pitchers.
Right.
The Braves' strength is their bullpen, except for one guy, Luke Jackson, whatever Jackson.
Right.
Other than that, they're really dominant out of the bullpen. And then when we go to the position players, I would have to say I'm going to give Houston an advantage.
Okay.
Why do I give them an advantage? They've been there before.
Yeah.
They've been there before.
Right.
And the Braves hadn't been there. So the Braves are playing some people like Duvall is playing center field. He's not a center fielder.
Right.
Josh Peterson is not the greatest defensive guy, but he might be able to hit the ball out of the park for you.
Right.
So they've got some shortcoming on defense that could show up in the World Series. And I give defense a plus to the Astros.
Right.
But other than that, Braves has got intangibles. They have the great intangible. They've been able to hit with 2 outs, hit in the clutch. They're playing well together. They're having fun. Those type of things you can't put a number to.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at recent World Series, are we looking at a bit of a shift in the power in Major League Baseball? I mean, you're talking Atlanta versus Houston. You're as far down south as you can go in that regard. Are we looking at maybe a little bit of a shift in the powers that be, or did it just shake out this way?
It just shook out that way. The Dodgers should have won. They won 106 games. But, they got some injuries.
Yeah.
You got injuries, and that's what happened.
Yeah, you can win 160, but if you don't win the ones that you need to win when you need to win them, all those numbers.
And the Braves got in with a low winning percentage, but they won the weak Eastern Conference of the National League. But they're playing good now. That's all that matters. Records don't matter right now.
Yeah. What was that conversation like with Dusty?
It's like they all are with he and I. We talk about things, we laugh about certain things we talked about.
Right.
And we really talk very little about baseball.
That was going to be the next question. What percentage of the conversations that you have with Dusty Baker center around X's and O's of the game?
No. I may ask him about a situation that occurs, and we are on to something else. I mean, that's the beauty about our conversation.
Right.
We are talking about life, things in life, and that our conversation center around. So that's the beauty. We ain't going to spend a lot of time talking baseball.
Is baseball as a sport overall more conducive to that kind of conversation than whatever, football, basketball?
I think it is. But I also think that over the years, we've always had that because where I'm not a hunter, I do like to fish.
Right.
Dusty's a hunter and a fisherman.
Okay.
He loved doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
We do talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where you're going to go next, where you think your journey will take you.
Right.
And he's got a business with a winery in California.
Okay.
So once he does that, he's going to go hunting and fishing. He can't wait to do that.
I seem to remember as you were mentioning that, I was trying to think back to when we had him on your show not so very long ago. And I was trying to remember what percentage of that conversation centered around baseball. It wasn't a whole lot.
That's what I'm telling you. It's not going.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons our relationship have endured and last 50 plus years.
Yeah.
Is that we talk about things that are in general, that are life lessons, and
Yeah. We let's shift gears and go back to SWAC football for a change. I think it was on the website HBCU Game Day. They were talking about the most recent rankings. Number 1, Jackson State has jumped up again in the FCS coaches top 25 poll. They're now up to number 16. Prairie View, I want to say, got 19 votes in the poll, and FAM got a few as well. But I noticed in there they interviewed Coach Dooley, and he flat out pretty much said, I don't read those. I don't pay attention to them. Now, that's the standard issue, the standard response we get from most coaches. I don't pay no attention to the polls. You know, they don't know what they're talking about, or I got other things to worry about. I don't have enough time to worry about that. I tell my kids not to do that. In your heart of hearts, how much attention do coaches really pay to polls?
Coach Dooley probably is correct. Mm-hmm. He probably don't pay. What good is he going to do paying? What is a poll?
Yeah, conjecture.
The only poll that matters in football, college football, is the one that
at the end of the season.
Well, no, that one that
for the playoffs.
Yeah, the top 4 teams need to finish. Right. That's the only one that matters. Because he's not going to any playoff.
Right.
The swag doesn't go to playoff. You got me?
Right.
So what good does that poll mean? What significant is it? They're never going to be given their rightful amount of due diligence.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You got me?
And it's all based on conjecture.
Yeah.
It's all based on emotion and feelings.
You got people like Marty Vogt. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
That's what happens when you let Marty get a ballot. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, they got people on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. They never heard of them.
Yeah.
They ain't going to vote for them.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch because I was going through the top 10 watching some games this weekend. And the number of teams that started out in the top 10 that are no longer ranked, period, is amazing. And I found myself saying, how could y'all get this so wrong?
Clarence, it ain't so wrong. They just vote for names. That's not really, they're not voting on talent.
They would take it a little more serious than, or is the problem in the process? You're letting people vote. They really don't have a clue about what the heck they're talking about.
They don't. When you start letting people on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest vote on people in the South that they know nothing about, this is what happened.
Yeah.
The poll when voting only should be in the locale that people are in, and it makes sense. They can vote more intelligently.
Good point. Never thought
that's
about
really
that.
what happens, you know.
Yeah.
You know, friends call friends on the, hey, man, I need you to vote for this.
Right.
You remember back when the West Coast SC was the top team?
Yep.
They're concerned because the East Coast voting would close by the time they finished playing. You got me?
Right.
That was a big issue. So they would feel they wouldn't get that due diligence because East Coast voters voted already. They hadn't seen you play.
And people, I guess, are people. We patronize, visit, honor groups, entities that we're familiar with. And that's just, a part of human nature.
That is.
Well, our time is up, y'all, so we've got to head on out of here. Week 8, man, the season is flying by already. On behalf of Jonathan and Alan out in the truck, floor producer extraordinaire, Marty, keeping us on track here. Of course, the coach and yours truly, Clarence Buggs. We'll see you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. See you then.